This story isn't about one woman. It's about many. It's about the women who reach their mid-40s and realize that life did not turn out exactly as expected, not in a tragic way, not in a dramatic collapse, but in a quiet, unsettling shift that's hard to explain to anyone else. At 45, she didn't wake up to chaos. She woke up to routine. The same alarm, the same responsibilities, the same expectations she had been carrying for years. From the outside, her life looked fine. Stable even. She had done what she was supposed to do. She had built something dependable. But somewhere between caring for everyone else and managing what needed to be managed, a small voice had been getting quieter. Not angry, not desperate, just tired. Tired of pretending that fine was the same as fulfilled. She didn't plan to start over. There was no dramatic moment, no breakdown, no brave announcement. It happened slowly, the way most real changes do, through small realizations that showed up during ordinary days. Like noticing how often she felt relieved when plans were canceled, or how she lingered a little longer in the car before going inside, or how she couldn't remember the last time she felt excited about what was ahead, rather than just prepared for it. She told herself it was normal, that this was just what midlife felt like. That gratitude should be enough. But something inside her knew this wasn't dissatisfaction, it was misalignment. The hardest part wasn't the fear of failing. It was the fear of wanting something different after investing so much in the life she already had. Because starting over at 45 isn't about throwing everything away. It's about questioning what still fits. She didn't suddenly know what she wanted. In fact, she felt more uncertain than she had in years. But this time, the uncertainty felt honest. It wasn't the confusion of youth, it was the clarity of someone who finally understood herself well enough to admit when something wasn't working. There were moments of guilt, moments of doubt, moments when she wondered if she was being ungrateful or unrealistic. She had conversations with herself she never thought she'd need to have again. Quiet ones. Late at night, while doing the dishes, while folding laundry, while staring at the ceiling and listening to the house breathe. Questions like, who am I when no one needs anything from me? What parts of me have I been postponing? What would it look like to choose myself without abandoning anyone else? The answers didn't come all at once. Starting over didn't look like a bold leap. It looked like small, careful steps. She allowed herself to imagine again, without committing, without explaining. She explored interests she once thought were impractical. She stopped automatically saying yes. She began protecting her energy, even when it felt uncomfortable. Some days, nothing changed externally. But internally, something was shifting. She noticed she was more present, more honest with herself, less afraid of disappointing others and more curious about her own truth. The growth was slow, almost invisible. There were setbacks. Days when she wondered if she was foolish for stirring things up. Days when staying the same felt easier than continuing to evolve. But even then, she couldn't fully return to who she used to be. Because once you see yourself clearly, you can't unsee it. Starting over at 45 taught her something no earlier chapter could. That maturity doesn't mean settling, it means choosing with awareness. She realized she wasn't behind. She wasn't late. She wasn't broken. She was becoming more herself. And that process didn't require permission. What surprised her most was how starting over didn't make her life louder, it made it calmer, more grounded, less performative. She stopped chasing approval and started listening inward. She didn't need everything to make sense immediately. She learned to trust the slow unfolding. Some opportunities arrived later than she expected, but they arrived with clarity, not chaos. Some relationships deepened. Others quietly faded. And she learned that letting go didn't always mean loss, it often meant space. Space to breathe. Space to grow. Space to redefine what success and happiness looked like now. Looking back, she understood something important. The life she built before wasn't a mistake. It was preparation. It taught her resilience, discernment, and patience. Starting over wasn't an erasure. It was a refinement. This story is a reminder that the pressure to get it all right early is an illusion. You are allowed to evolve. Starting over at 45 wasn't the best thing she planned. It was the best thing she allowed. Not because it made her life perfect, but because it made it true. And maybe, as you sit with this story, there's a quiet part of you that recognizes it. Not as a call to do something drastic, but as an invitation to listen more closely to yourself. Because sometimes, the most powerful changes don't begin with action. They begin with honesty. And that, at any age, is a beautiful place to start. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to this channel for more eye-opening content.